the other day, and I had to remember this. Popcorn is prepared in the same pot, in the same heat, in the same oil, and yet the kernels do not pop at the same time. So don't compare your child to others. Their turn to pop is coming. Thank you very much.
That's actually,
wow. I had to remember that.
That's not only deep, but it's good.
It's deep, it's right, and it's very true, isn't it?
Over the weekend, received a bag, 2 pounds.
Of popcorn.
From my friend Rube Cott.
Who?
His real name is...
It's not his name. I mean...
John is his real name.
Yeah.
His dad's name is Rube.
I thought you said RuPaul there for a second.
No, it's Rube Cott.
Ooh, I wonder if he sells popcorn.
Rube... his father used to make bullhead soup, for example.
What?
I mean, exactly. So understand the palate of this man. But he gave me a bag of popcorn.
His popcorn's good.
Is it?
Because
I haven't had it. Last night I was going to try some, and I didn't, and I've got to because
the bullhead soup. I text Abby because I get cravings, as you guys know. Like once where I haven't eaten in town, and so I've had this craving for Mongolian noodles for 53 days, Abs, or 48. So I'm
something like that.
What are you doing Wednesday? And it's a craving hit. So I've got something else. I'm like, that's good, because I didn't want to drive across the state with a belly full of Mongolian noodles.
Like all you can eat pasta.
But it was craving, but it was a hard craving.
And drinking 3 jugs of 5-hour energy.
Like water, yeah. It's the only thing I don't drink is energy drink, which probably shocks you because, they don't spend a lot of time sleeping.
But you're a napper on the side of the road.
I do nap. Yeah, right. I do.
I mean, you're smart
parked.
that way.
Yeah, parking.
Right.
I park.
I, on the other hand, always seem to be late. So I don't drink energy drinks a lot,
right.
But when I need them, I think it's for the safety of all.
I worry about having those because knowing me, I will like it, so much that it'll just become part of my daily thing, and then I don't want to, have that be the daily, just start shotgunning Red Bull every 3 minutes, go.
Someone had dropped off an energy drink for me at the studio like months ago, and I didn't know how to take that. Anyway, I didn't want it. It wasn't something that I liked, so I asked Tyler if he wanted it, and he took it, and now he is obsessed with them.
We were,
perfect example.
I was chatting in our lunchroom because in any office, and this isn't why you called, but in any office, eventually the vending machine needs to be refilled.
Yeah.
So who was I in there with yesterday? And you're hitting like the Diet Coke, sold out.
It's empty.
Pepsi, sold out. Each month is sold out. And the only thing left is like
Peanuts,
some sold out. It's like some guy thing. I said, could you imagine like if we sold Red Bull and it was sold out? People in there just banging the machine and checking it against the wall and flipping it up. Where's my Red Bull?
We have this beautiful human being, ladies and gentlemen, named Joan. Joan John. And Joan
Lovely
handles
Joan.
what we call the traffic around here. So she makes sure that people's ads are where they belong.
Yes.
She just does a tremendous job.
The place would burn without Joan.
2-sport athlete at Valley City State College, by the way. Anyway, so Joan was coming into work today, and I greeted her. Oh. I came in a little bit behind her, and I said hi to Joan in an aggressive way. And this sweet, beautiful human being from Horace, North Dakota,
right?
Didn't seem to appreciate it, and it was a terrible start to my day. It was like, Joan,
that was not terrible. That is what you wanted.
How can you not enjoy an aggressive Heidi Ho? Let's get the day going.
Joan's revving up her end. That traffic is not the department you want to be in. Joan also, speaking of the lovely John, she looks comfortable every minute of the day.
She does.
Have you noticed that? She always got like a warm sweater, like my mother, who wraps herself in Afghan.
She looks like she quilts, even though she doesn't.
Right.
She looks like she bakes,
That's
even
right.
though she doesn't.
First 4 tonight, Joel, in case your bracket's not filled out.
Ooh,
you better start soon because you've got a little Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Now, Corpus is not far from San Antonio either. In fact,
I love that town, too. You know that.
You know you love Corpus. You can get on the golf. You got the original Whataburger right there in the golf.
I'm a huge San Antonio fan.
Oof, we need to get there. Texas Southern and Corpus play tonight. Indiana and Wyoming play tonight. So that's it. What you need to know: South Dakota State, who won the Summit League tournament, they are the 13 seed. They'll face Providence, the Friars.
How did Indiana basketball program get to the point where they're almost doing a play-in?
Yeah, well, they're one of the first 4.
Right.
Yeah, well, the Big Ten this year. The Big Ten has got a lot of teams in the NCAA tournament, most of anybody. So
Who won it last year?
they're
Bones?
you know.
I forget.
My mind is just
it wasn't
rolling through
Duke. I know that.
No.
Was it Kansas?
No.
Yeah,
God,
he did.
you're just getting me going.
Who won
here.
it? Oh, come on, help. 35270 at our eye consultants of North Dakota Text Club.
Well, I should know that. I'm going to retire. I didn't know that.
You're not retiring because we won't
Filled out my
let you.
bracket.
Will you help me fill out a bracket?
Wasn't it Baylor? Am I thinking wrong? Am I COVID up here a little bit?
Was it
Baylor?
Gonzaga?
I thought it was Baylor. It was Baylor, right?
I
And they're
don't
back
know.
at it again this year.
Okay.
Tell me I'm wrong.
If
it's not Baylor, tell me
As we
I'm-
speak, I'm looking.
I want to say Baylor. I'm pretty sure it was Baylor, but
It
tell
says the championship game, Baylor.
Thank you.
Won. And guess who they beat? They beat.
me Gonzaga.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wasn't far off.
You were halfway there.
Right.
Boy.
And that was pre-Google when I said that.
You know, I do like 400 games a year, right?
Believe me, I do not hold you responsible for not knowing that. You know, here's
Yes.
the thing that I do blame you for.
What's that?
And I understand everybody's got their style. I wish that you would have kept track of every game everywhere you ever did.
I know. And looking back now, I'm well, no, it'd probably be like, wow, give your tongue a break.
I would have. By the way, when is Scotch Harmony and when is this product getting turned out?
I believe we're going to go to the studio after the sports this morning. We've never done a ballad. Bone, Scotch, Harmony, and Salad Bar, our group has never done a ballad. And
Okay.
so we are going to try to attempt a ballad for airplay tomorrow.
So
Do you need salad bar?
Well, do you want to be Salad Bar?
No.
Because it is a salad bar.
when does Abby give me just one or two doo-wops? Like background, like doo-wop, wop, wop.
Drop a little.
Do da da do.
Come on.
I
Isn't that
learned
a real
something about
song?
Abby yesterday when she was on Afternoons Live with Tyler Axness that I did not know about
no.
Abby Rose Miller. And another thing that very much impressed me. My favorite instrument, although I couldn't play it if you gave me $1 million. If you said, Jack, carry this tune, here's $1 million. Couldn't do it. But it's my favorite because obviously I'm a Springsteen, Clarence Clemens, you can name some of the great. I did not know, Joel, that your producer, the Abby Rose, was a saxophone player.
I was.
I want to hear it. Bring one in. That means
You're
you
like
still
Lisa
have one.
Simpson.
We're
I
going to
don't
make
know
her
if we
play
still
live on
have
air.
one. I could play it.
Well, there we have it.
Not well, but
I-
I could play notes.
1-800 Perry and Denise. Next time you're in Fargo, bring the sax.
I think we sold it.
What?
Can I borrow someone's?
Sure.
It's disgusting. Like, clean that mouthpiece. That's gross. but-
Someone else.
Two of the greatest saxophone artists we lost within, years, not long of each other, which is, and I forget the name of the one in the Seeger band, in the Silver Bullet band.
Oh, yeah.
But he was amazing.
Well, if the song Turn the Page, I mean, that's a saxophone, is it not?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
come
he
on.
just makes the song. And Jergy right now is going, how can you forget that name? And, the other one, obviously.
Didn't you go
Clarence.
backstage, Joel? Weren't you like one of the,
I was shook the hand.
Yes.
He was amazing. I mean, he was just absolutely amazing. And I'm like, doggone it. I'll get to there
lots
too.
to get
It was
to.
Gonzaga. No, it wasn't.
Gonzaga? Lots to get to today. There's some girls' state basketball tournaments games going on in Minnesota. Section games on the boys' side. Lots to talk about as we move along on a Tuesday.
Why don't you come on in here? Let's visit a little.
Sounds good.
Alto Reed.
My roommate in college, so on our Nightmare on 10th Street house we lived in, he would just crank this up in his bedroom, and that we'd both.
I grew up on that song. I mean, I was like, this song would just you'd hit the volume button. This, and you got to find us some Clarence Clemens now too. Two of the greatest sax players ever. You know.
I really think Ab should get her a saxophone.
I played alto saxophone, but I also played tenor.
Do you? Well, bring both.
Why not?
I mean, why not?
Alto I was stronger at.
Can you play Happy Birthday on a saxophone? And if so, who would you play that for today?
I could attempt it, and I would play it for my grandpa today because it is his birthday.
It's your grandpa's birthday?
Grandpa Warren. It is his birthday.
Warren, he's the one going on the honor flight.
Yep.
All
you
right.
met him, yeah.
Yep, I have.
Yes.
Cool. I'm going on the honor flight with
Are you going there
Warren,
too?
As
you
is
do
Abby. Abby's going too.
You're going on the honor flight?
We'll see.
Yep, she's on the Skoll bus, man. She's on the Skoll bus. She made the cut. That isn't easy. That isn't easy. Everybody wants on the Skoll bus. She is on the purple bus with Grandpa.
Happy birthday, Grandpa Warren. Warren's another one of those classic names. Wasn't it Wellen? Who'd you meet in Hillsboro? Weldon?
Oh, man, what was
Weldon? And you said that's a classic name when she brought that up yesterday.
Oh,
Wendell.
Wendell. That's it.
Wendell.
Welton.
I was like...
Your favorite sax.
That's
the best
good sax.
Sax.
Yeah.
A phone.
Ooh, Don Haney likes this one.
This is Wham's Careless Whisper, right?
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty good sax open right there.
To me, and no one's going to agree with me on this, I realize, but that is wasted sax. That is
on that.
Oh, absolutely. Wham. I mean, here's the thought about Wham. Go away.
Wow.
Wow, he's anti-Wham.
I'm
Are
anti-Wham.
they Wake Me Up Before
You Go.
Right?
I'll guarantee you.
Deep
very
riveting.
As much as Joe
very
is,
different
as
sounds.
much
Great
as he
lyrics.
is Molly Hatchet and Joe Cocker and Bob Seger
Zeppelin.
and Zeppelin, as much as that, I guarantee you that if Wake Me Up Before You Go popped out and you were at a stoplight on 25th and 13th,
Oh,
you're turning that up a little. You're catching
there's no way you
yourself,
wouldn't.
right? He's catching himself
You've
singing.
been
it.
in my pickup. Is there any chance with the selection I have that Wake Me Up Before I Go is going to come on my pickup sound?
All right,
It could come on one of your radio stations.
Abby went in my presets. Tell people what the presets were. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you were listening to Sirius.
Yep.
So there was like the all the country ones. I don't know what the
I had
names
Prime
of them.
Country. I've got old country. I've got George Jones. I've got
Oh, there was
Bluesville.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, there's the Frank Sinatra channel.
I've driven with you a little bit.
There's a
before,
jazz channel. You
Yeah.
gotta have jazz.
It's not bad.
Gotta have jazz.
You gotta have jazz.
On the spectrum, we
We
asked
went
on our
past the jazz.
iConsultants of North Dakota text club at 35270 during the break, and you played it. Is there any way to stop this song and play just the first 6 seconds of it again?
Yeah, give me 3 seconds. Hold on.
By the way, the best
2.
program music, the way I love it here,
Yes.
is ours 101.9.
Yeah,
I just love that station.
Scotch is a one man.
Oh.
He's just a one man show. Listen. Okay, so the question today is your Mount Rushmore of sax. You know, your songs.
What is
the ones that how do we phrase it?
Where were you when
Like the top 4 songs that feature
There has to be something by Chicago,
a
right?
saxophone. Ooh, that feature a saxophone.
Yeah.
So
Right?
that's the
Right.
question. Top 4. Turn
Well,
the page has got it. Well, the other 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
The other
one has
3.
to include Clarence Clemens.
Yeah.
Right?
So
What
so
about Baker Street?
That
I mean-
the sax comes in at about 10, 15.
Are the rules that it has to be?
No,
the,
not at the start. No,
Right.
you're good. No, I think
Right. I mean,
overall.
Abby, can't we have a little Baker Street? I mean,
This is the tribute Abby's, what I didn't realize, played the saxophone. And I learned yesterday on Afternoons Live with Tyler Axness. Top
Amy
4.
Eiler also played the saxophone. So
She
Joel
did.
Joel has a type for producers.
I don't know what did Callie play. Does anybody know? I know she played a
She
musical instrument.
played.
She didn't. I don't know.
I've heard her sing, so she.
You know
didn't
what the oldest instrument is in the
listen
world?
to this. It isn't there yet.
The vulture bone flute.
I think
the
that's what
oldest-
this is.
This could be a vulture bone flute.
Yeah.
So you have to
that's
wait a
a
little bit
flute,
on
isn't
Jerry.
it?
You have to wait a little bit on Jerry.
It's worth the wait, though. I mean, this is.
Sounds fluty.
So is this
By the
going on
way-
our Mount Rushmore, saxophone Mount Rushmore?
Well, it certainly is.
Right here?
Here it is.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be tough to beat that.
That's real.
That's on.
That's real.
That's good sax.
Yes. So we've got Turn the Page, Baker Street.
I'm trying to find just the right Clarence Clemens
Huh.
because there's no list
Yeah.
that if it doesn't involve Clarence Clemens, that
Yeah.
I will respect.
I really think by the time our Christmas party, this 22 comes up, Amy and Abby should be in the hallway greeting all of our listeners, those thousands that roll through here with a saxophone duet.
And the picnic?
And the picnic.
Oh, this is one I didn't
outdoor
think of.
yes, outdoor saxophone.
Yep. Okay.
Glenn Fry, You Belong to the City.
Oh,
That's great sax. That's great sax.
basket good in a foul.
The other
I'm
one,
getting ready for that.
Yeah, somebody else text in, and by the way, I absolutely love these. In our icon,
You Belong to the City is a great. Whoever just texts that in, you just should have $1.80.
Eddie Money was an accomplished saxophone player.
Yes, and his real name, I believe, was Eddie Mahoney. Changed.
He was a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, it was
before.
that's right. It passed away.
There
Unfortunately,
are very few
You belong
you
to
know,
the city, though, is really good.
But when you
That's
work at a
great
radio
call.
station, famous people come through.
Yes,
Agreed?
they do.
And I don't take pictures with them because I'm not one of those. I took a picture with Eddie Money.
Yeah.
And I took a picture with Cheech and Chong. Oh, listen to that.
Oh, come on.
Rusty, did you come to join the saxophone conversation?
Rusty's got sax
Yeah,
response.
I heard you guys talking about sax, and with all those oysters I ate last week.
No!
Off the rails
No!
on a Tuesday.
I've got a lot of stuff to do. Just wanted to stop in. I felt compelled.
Rusty, we're doing our
Oh my
Mount
God, he came
Rushmore
just for
of
that.
saxophone songs
How do you
featured a
talk
saxophone.
after that? And I'm usually the one.
You're the usually one that steps in it.
Oh, no.
So does Sabrina like good sax?
Yes.
No, I'm checking
Everybody
out
does.
this.
Everybody does.
Do we go to a commercial now
Should
or
we
in
now?
10 seconds?
Should we now or 10 seconds?
Why in the world? Somebody said Bobby Keys sax solo and Brown Sugar.
Oh.
Endless Summer Nights.
Oh,
Richard Marx.
Dickie Marx, yes.
Oh, with all due respect to Brown Sugar, Endless Summer
Summer
Nights.
Nights is a great call.
Dickie Marx.
Plus,
yeah.
that hits
We're gonna need
that's
that.
the 80s. Hits it right in the mid. That's where all
Yeah.
the music
By
is.
Richard, is that?
Richard Marx,
Can I just?
M-A-R-X.
I went through the top 10 so far,
Right.
and there's 10 suggestions in here, and Wham came in 83rd.
No, it did not. That Careless Whisper. I get where you're coming from, but it's still it's good.
No, it's
Saxophone.
painful because you know what's coming. It's like, okay, it's good sax, but we're heading to this cliff. We're going to drive over, and we're going to look like Thelma and Louise.
We have
Bad things are about to
driven
happen.
over the cliff already.
Oh, are we late on a break?
No, I
It's
wish we
your show,
were.
Joe.
I get
Joel,
to
it's
pick
your
up.
show.
I would genuinely wish we were.
Wait a second. We'll be right back.
Oh, we are going to
There
take.
you go.
And with more good sax.
We
right
still have
after
the
this.
two, right? The two are on there. Baker
Hold on,
Street
listen.
and Turn the Page.
knowing that, Abby is an accomplished saxophone player.
Didn't know that.
Accomplished, yeah.
As is
What
Amy
do we got
Iyer.
here? What do we got? This is Huey. Yeah, that's real.
Get going.
That's real.
Is this the future? What year is he reference?
1989. No.
Oh.
Either way, for her, it was way a long time ago.
Hey, I was born for 99.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are wearing underwear from 1999. That's how.
Certainly not a belt.
No, I broke another one.
I know, we need to figure that out.
Now, have we figured the 4? I'm not leaving for the state B until I
want
find
this
the
one
Mount
in there.
Rush. You want this in there?
I just love this song.
I'm going. I've. Does it
You've
have?
been good in the
your,
80s.
Your criteria was it had to be the intro, right? Or
Well, no.
Well,
Featured.
then Jungleland.
Featured.
I mean, then
A
Jungleland.
prominent feature of a song. Saxophone.
Yeah. Oh, Joel, the sax solo in FM by Steely Dan. Oh.
FM by Steely.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We have these Tuesday talkers.
And by the way, thank you to all our wonderful
Excellent.
text
We
club.
have these very common
Beautiful
Tuesday
people.
talkers.
Eye Consultants of North Dakota, we can see you. Thanks for the
We
text.
can see you.
We'd start these, Joel, and you and I and Abby sitting here and we think, oh, there's probably about 3. And then we open up the text club on our question, and there's 3,000. And we have to narrow that down by 4.
I'm embarrassed to say this.
We missed one?
No,
You Belong to the City is still, to me, in that ballpark. Glenn
Yeah.
Fry, that puts me into a...
Glenn, you didn't play Glenn Fry.
She did a little bit, I think.
I think I did.
I think
I'll
she
play it.
did.
Okay.
I mean, it sets the... I mean, we should shut all the lights off in it right now.
That one actually might. It doesn't be Jungleland.
Oh,
See how it just sets the sax sets the mood.
Yep. Sax always sets the mood. It really does.
Yep. It's not like a
I wanna
flute. But you know what? You came up with another one. Did you come up with this or did a texter? You can call me Al.
Oh, a texter did.
That's a good
texter
call.
did. Yep. Yep. No, that was in our text club. Endless Summer Nights, Richard Marx.
Yeah, that's another.
Sax solo and Bobby Sue by the Oak Ridge Boys is pretty mean.
Narrowing
I don't doubt
Again,
it's good sax, but
down to 4 is going to be impossible.
yeah. So state
what do we
class
got?
B.
State B coming up on Thursday from the Minot State. We'll miss you out there because your show.
Yep, I always did it.
Not that we don't talk about the small towns and the smaller communities that are involved in State B, and that's always the great news and views show because we bring up Church's Ferry and then we'll find 19 people that grew up there. But remember we did that in Minot in Rick Hedberg's office. We were talking. But Kindred versus Bowman County. So you got the Vikings defending champions, and then Bowman County out there in the southwest North Dakota. And you've got Shiloh Christian versus Bishop Ryan. So now
2 parochials.
a lot. Well, I won't say there are 2 high schools that feature good teams.
I'll say 2 parochials.
The first evening game on Thursday. So you got the Four Winds Minnewacan Indians taking on the Stanley Blue Jays. Four Winds Minnewacan, and Rick Smith does a tremendous job with that.
Right?
Number 1
Oh, okay.
in the state
For
of
that
North
Kindred
Dakota, and the number 1 seed. Kindred 2. Four Winds is great. They've been there. This is a regular thing for Four Winds. Minnewacan are becoming like the New York Yankees of boys basketball and B. But they've got Stanley, that upstart Stanley team. So we'll see.
I love the fact that they do it by standings now or by pick.
Yeah, they pick the top.
Yeah.
They see the top 5 and then random draw.
There was many a time that the state Class B championship was played the first night.
Yeah,
and it's nice to see it done the way it's being done now. But okay.
And then the nightcap, by the way, is the 2,000-pound skin surgery versus
What's that?
Grafton. Grafton versus Lemoore.
These wired different, folks. He doesn't have a ground wire.
Grafton spotters are obviously awesome. They are Region 2 champs. Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion. We work with some Lobos in our office.
Little Becky Lamar.
Little Becky Lamar and little Dougie Lear.
Yeah.
And,
he's
not
still a Lobo.
He's put together. He's a Lobo.
He's a Highliner and a Lobo all at once.
So that's our nightcap on that. And to that tune, to Grafton, Lori Sieben, longtime girls coach, got championships under her belt, announced that she was retiring from her position there. Lori's her daughter Carly's on the UND women's team. Cassie, her other twin daughters on Mayville State. And so I texted her. I said, "Congratulations on getting to be just a mom for, stepping down for.
That's a great line.
You have children when you're a coach or when you're in any business where you can't enjoy your children's events because you're torn. Now she'll be able to. And I'm sure that was a big reason for that.
I don't doubt it. I think of John Cole. I think of you. I think of people that have made it. I think of Lee, Rusty's dad. There are people out there that I think of when it comes to the media with Class B. I think of Jim Adelson.
Yes.
Jim for years would come on my show during the Class B and talk about old stories. And when we lost him, we lost so much of our history.
Yeah.
I just the state Class B I love watching the state Class A, listen to you all the way through, those type of things. But state Class B is special to me.
It is really. It is. I think it is to a lot of people when you look at those communities. And as you said, radio's an intimate medium. You speak in that mic, it goes into someone's ear. That's about as intimate as you can get. Mm-hmm. So I firmly believe, and I always have, that I get it. You like pictures and all that. Tune in because we get you sounds and it's one of those. Here. Yeah, you can watch it on the radio and it's an intimate medium. So I understand. So hopefully you turn around. We've sold out to all the sponsors that have no qualm. They just jump right on board because they know that we're going to be there with bells on. So
and
thank you to
I'm
all
waiting
those
until after the B is over to make my argument that I will not involve you in.
But
there
it
is. I believe that after the state Class A, there's more evidence ever that there needs to be a 3-class system in North Dakota.
Oh, yeah. We probably picked that up a little bit.
Right. Listen to this.
Cartoon graveyard.
Boned. One of the
Think
greatest
of these lyrics.
One of the greatest videos ever.
Yeah. Chevy?
Yep.
That's wait for me.
I don't think they rehearsed it.
No, they probably let Chevy, like his SNL days and all of his movies, just
go in and be you.
Go ahead and
right after they were in the green room,
play that saxophone. Thanks for all the saxophone talk today, and Abby, I'd expect a solo coming up soon.
And Kenny G is going to be dating Abby.
Kenny G
soon.
Next week we'll do the pan flute, top 4 pan flute.
He's on his own then, folks. Good to be with you, ladies and gentlemen. Heading out to Bismarck after this. So, Abby, we get to hang out for a little while left and together, and then actually doing the show with you on Thursday here before I fly out to the wedding, the big wedding. People just can't learn from others' mistakes, can they? They still go out there.
They still get married.
They still get married. Now, on today's show, we're going to get a chance to head up to Williston and visit with Amy Kruger. She's the executive director of the Williston and Convention and Visitors Bureau. You want to talk about a good thing to be in the caviar business, right? I mean, the main competitor is Russia, and nobody's letting us do business with Russia anymore, which is a good thing. I tell you what, when the paddlefish season starts, I think that they're going to do just fine in the Williston area because Amy got that industry back up and going again. So we'll talk to her about that. But I've got a friend that in my 17 years, it's 17 years of being in radio, which went really fast. It doesn't matter because I'm never, ever going to come close to what is in the nation one of the best journalists involved, broadcast journalists in radio. And that's Paul Jergins. How you doing, Paul?
I was wondering who you were talking about there for a second.
You're still mad that I waved you in here.
Yeah. Come in here for a second. Just 5 minutes. What?
He thought we were going to talk about football.
I'm busy.
Yeah, I know you're busy. That's why I grabbed you. It's because I knew you wouldn't come in here on your own. 39 years ago today, on this family of radio stations, you came to work, but 52 years, you began
42.
Or 42, I mean, at KVOX is where you began?
Yeah, right down the hall.
How
here,
old were you?
I would have been 20 or 19. So, well, I started here when
Did you know you
I started
wanted
on
to
radio
do
when
this?
I was 20, and now I'm 50. So
Paul and I, by the way, are
now
the same age.
KVOX is right down the hall, which is now 740 The Fan. When I started there, it was 1280 a.m. So that frequency change, and so and that was in South Moorhead. That's where some of our FM transmitters.
Did you know? I mean, did you know that you wanted to be in radio broadcast journalism all that time?
No, I coming out of high school or winding up high school, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, and I'd always kind of joked around being a radio announcer with a hairbrush and
well, you have the
as
voice.
a microphone, and so I kind of went. It was kind of just by accident. I went to broadcast school in Minneapolis, Brown Institute now, Brown College now, no longer.
Yeah, a lot of people, some of the greatest radio broadcasters went to Brown. It must have been good. I remember Sandy Buttweiler went to Brown. Yep. You know,
Joel Morgan of
Yep.
our news and sports staff.
Some of the people that I've met that I've looked at and thought, man, they're good at what they do. They went to Brown.
Well, the instructors there were broadcasters, both radio and television, and that makes a difference.
Okay, but the journalism side, because with your voice, you could have done anything, and you have a passion for music. And I mean, did you know that you wanted to be a journalist?
No. It was the first job that came up.
Okay.
And I'm from Fergus Falls, and I got a job offer in Moorhead, and I had friends going to Burlington, Iowa, and Wolf Point, Montana, in school in the Twin Cities. They were going all over the country. And so I had an opportunity to begin in news in Moorhead. So that's how it all came to be.
But you've taught it now.
Yeah, I've taught it. Moorhead State a little bit.
You've hired so many journalists that have moved on to other places.
That's
I mean,
true, yeah.
Being news director, how many years have you been news director here?
Late 80s, I think.
Think about that.
Late 80s.
That's a
Mid-80s.
long time.
It is a long time.
So when you think of stories, I mean, okay, don't get mad at me for asking this question. I know you. The minute we're going to go to a break, you're going to chew me out for asking, but I get to ask it. Okay.
It's always a good precursor.
Yeah,
I'm trying to buy insurance before he gives me that look like Heitkamp. Tell people about some of the things that you've won here, that you're proud of your team for winning here. I mean, there's a picture on your wall in your office of Walter Cronkite and you.
Yeah.
I mean, tell people about these things.
Well, we were fortunate enough, or have been fortunate enough over the years, to win a number of regional and national awards. So the Edward R. Murrow Awards, won one last, for the 2020 riot coverage, and that was a national award. And then 2 Peabody Awards, which to most people they probably don't know what that is, but I equate it with a Pulitzer in print media, and we were fortunate enough to have 2 of those for blizzard coverage in 1984, the white wall that came in and people were stranded across the region and people died, and then the 1997 flood of the Red River Valley. We were fortunate enough to win a second.
I remember, being involved in 2 of your flood coverages where you kind of counted on the whole team and said, hey, get here, I need you there, get here. You were like the quarterback, the captain, and people were sleeping on floors. And I remember looking at you and some of your team thinking, maybe the best thing I can do for these guys is go buy them a razor, because you started looking like Grizzly Adams. Because you slept here. I mean, you lived here. There's a lot of work that goes into that people maybe don't realize behind the scenes.
Well, we felt obligated. I mean, the community was on the line in 97, and we're not just going to abandon people and say, well, we'll be back tomorrow. I mean, it was a 24-hour event for days, so we had to be here.
So talk about some of the people that you've interviewed through the years that just instantly come to mind.
Well, Walter Cronkite was one when he was at Concordia. This was after the 97 flood event, but he was speaking at Concordia, so I had some time to speak to him.
I mean, you've interviewed presidents, you've interviewed vice presidents, you've been
Bob
around.
Dole, John McCain when they were here for events. Yeah, over the years.
I mean, that's kind of cool when you get to grab
Barbara Bush. I interviewed her once.
How did that go?
It went well. She was riding on a train. And I don't know how it came to be, but there was some North Dakota angle.
Yeah. So in terms of the people in your newsroom, I mean, you're constantly developing new talent. I guess the reason I bring that up is because we are the only station in radio in the upper Midwest that takes, broadcast journalism seriously. I mean that, it isn't with a slant. It isn't with I learned very early if I came in and I said, hey, Jergy, did you hear, that your ears would turn off, because you'd be like, no, Joel, I'm not going to get spun. I'll those type of things.
You gave that up a while ago, trying to spin me.
I gave it up really a long time ago. But the truth is, the talent you've developed in there has been based off journalism, and you guys have done it. I mean, if you look at where radio is today, as far as journalists out there covering stories, I mean, you are one of the top news agencies, not just in the upper Midwest, but in the country. A lot of radio stations have gone away from it.
They have, and it's unfortunate. Back in 20, 30 years ago, when we would be looking to hire someone, this was before the internet, and you could listen on your app to radio stations. What I and my boss at the time would do is we'd get in the car, and we'd start driving north, south, west, east, out of Fargo, and we would listen to the various radio stations up and down the valley in eastern North Dakota and western Minnesota, and see who we might find that might be a candidate for a position. But today, there's just no one really doing radio news. I mean, not no one. I shouldn't say no one, but not. It used to be that every small station around had a news department. When I started at KVOX, we had at one time 4 full-time people. We're up to 5. KFGO had 6, I believe. And it's difficult to find new talent these days. We've added here just recently Tasha Carvel, Ryan Janke in our news center here, and
Madison Quinn's been there.
Quinn has been here over a year,
yep.
And so we're almost back up to 6, 5 full time and a couple of part time people. Joel Morgan, and of course Don Haney has been here for 26 years, I believe.
Where's Don? Is he in the newsroom right now?
Well, he's standing right here. You said 5 minutes, so
I didn't know
he's got to do the weather.
I didn't know if you saw him sneak in the room or not. So, Don, what's it been like to work with this guy for all these years?
Pretty amazing. And I think, Jerry, if I remember right, we got to know each other in 1978, I believe.
Well, I didn't start till 80, so
it was 80.
Pretty close.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, he worked at KVOX as a news guy, and we got to know each other because our names would show up on the AP. I think that's how we got to know him. And I found out he was from Fergus Falls, and we were talking. He said, "Well, I got a girlfriend, and hey." Your brother-in-law was my barber.
Yeah, that was small world.
And all this
Winston
stuff.
is like really.
And for a while,
and Don
I worked
was at
at another
KXPO
station
in Grafton.
Yeah, and so we were we weren't opponents, but we challenged one another in
Sure, it's a
another
competitive
station.
business.
And we
But we were
swapped stories.
competitive,
Yeah,
but
it was
we
fun.
still talked. We were never enemies, and I was lucky enough to come here. But I want to say, this is going to be hard for me to say without getting a little emotional as well. But how many bosses do you have that make you cry? He did. We were in New York City for this award, and Paul got up, and I don't know how he did it, but our whole table, we had like 4 or 5 different members of the staff with us, and the way and there's audio out here somewhere, Jergy. You've got a
It's out there on
yeah.
YouTube. Peabody
We
Awards.
all had tears in our eyes. That's how good he is, and it was about our coverage of the '97 flood. We've done many other things, but I'll never forget it.
Well,
as long as
I can tell you this,
Yeah.
not being a part of your team in 97, nobody was tuned in anywhere else. I mean, they weren't, because it was just this moving, you to know what was going on, you were tuned into you and your team. I mean, you had to be in 97 to the point where the mayor, Denny Walker, had such respect for you guys that he'd just walk in here.
Well, he was the public works director in 97, and it was midnight.
But he was the
Thereabouts.
man that
Oh,
everybody
yes.
remembers as
And
mayor.
it was Mayor Furness and Pat Zavarol, who was the city administrator at the time. And this was the night that Fargo-Moorhead almost went down. I mean, it was that close. And the Dance Hall, was working the operations board here that night, and it was about midnight. And we had gone home, I think, because it had been 24-hour shifts, and we were going to hit it again in the morning. And things seemed to be stable that night. And he came in here at midnight, and Don Hall called, I believe myself and Don Haney at home, and said, I don't know what's going on, but the mayor, Denny Wallaker, and Pat Zavarol are out in the lobby. They want to go on the air, and they're typing something out. And we said, well, let them go on the air. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And Mayor Furness and the others came on and said, this is serious. We've got to do this now. We've got potential water coming over the dike in downtown Fargo, and we need some help. And the city mobilized. The fire department, Don Haney was down there, and the fire department was at the dike, and they were topping off the dike with sandbags, and people who were listening, because it was the only way that they would have known about it at that time. There wasn't social media. People came to the dike in their cars and jumped out, left the cars running, headlights on, doors open, and assisted the fire department in potentially saving Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was chilling. And Don was down there, and we had lost the tape of that for 20 years of that particular happening. Don thought enough when he got that call from Don Hall in the middle of the night to throw on a cassette recorder at home and to record that, and then he went out the door because we didn't know what was going to happen, but he thought this could be historic. We hope it's, not bad. But we misplaced the tape for about 20 years, and we found it, 10 years ago.
Really?
Of that particular segment. I don't know where it is now. We had it somewhere.
I don't know where it is. We lost it. We found it. I
We
don't know
lost
where
it again.
I want it. Done. I want that tape. The other thing that I guess I was always so impressed with, and we're going to skip weather with Don, just so the poor guy doesn't sit there waiting, was how well you work with other news agencies. You, Dave Kolpak with the AP. I mean, you built some relationships, Dave Thompson, that you just trust on, count on. And, people think of your business as being ultra competitive. You didn't turn it into that as news director, Paul. You really didn't.
No, you've got to get along with people, whether it's other media or, city, county, state officials. I've always said, and it's a trust thing. If you burn someone, meaning a source that gives you information and you say, I'm not going to use it, and then you use it, that gets around, and that'll be the last time that person trusts you. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to reinforce that. And if someone gives you some information that you can't use, you won't use it directly, but maybe you'll find another way to get the information out. And so over my career, once you burn a bridge in this business, oftentimes that gets around. And sooner or later, someone will say, well, you so-and-so told you this, and then they gave you that information, and now they can come to find out that you did use it, and so I'm really not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
And that happens.
Well, the bad part for you is there's a lot of tread left off on the tire. So we're gonna ride that horse for another 10 years or longer. So
I don't know about that. The first day I started here, I was, and I mentioned this, I think, with Amy and JJ on their show because my wedding anniversary was 2 weeks ago, and then I started a new job. And so the first day I was here, the kitchen area was back on the west side of the building, and we've added on here back in the mid-'90s, large addition put on here. And the first day I was here, there was a meeting going on in this, it's now an office. And we had this bun coffee maker here, the kind that you pour the water in the top, and then you've got the decanters on the bottom. And there was some sort of meeting going on. And so I thought, but people could come in because you needed coffee, and there was a sink in there. So I went in, and I thought, oh, look, at the coffee's empty. There's a meeting going on. I think I will make fresh coffee. I forgot to put the basket in.
I knew it.
So the water went all over the room.
Hey, we got a new kid.
And the owners at the time, whoever's in there's going, who in the world hired this kid? He can't even make coffee.
Jergy, congrats, man. Great. And
Thanks,
by the way, next year when it's 40 with KFGO, we're going to bring you back in again. And I'm not going to tell you why then, if I'm still here. All right.
He got out quick.
What a pro. He could not have got out of this room quicker. Stick around. More coming your way here on News and Views. Welcome back to the News and Views Radio Network. Again, congratulations to Paul Jergins on his anniversary. He's just amazing journalist, amazing broadcaster. For you folks at our text club that are sending in great comments about him, we know. I mean, we know. He just has been kind of the standard for radio broadcast journalism, not just here, but in the country in so many ways. It says, Joel, I was a 20-year-old graveyard manager at Perkins that night, listening to KFGO on a little radio that somebody had brought in. I let everyone in the restaurant know what was going on. Most of them were drinking coffee and studying. They all packed up and headed downtown. Someone from the city called to ask that anyone who was able to please come help. I told them they were already on their way. I still have goosebumps thinking about it. I'm not fibbing here. You just gave me goosebumps. When we come back, conflict of interest or not, we'll talk about it right after this. We had a chance to have a conversation about the Supreme Court and, lifetime appointments on the Supreme Court. And some of you are going to text in to our iConsultants of North Dakota text club, and you're going to say quite simply that, well, gee, Heitkamp, your opinion on the court has changed now that there's only 3 progressives on the court, and there's, 6 very, very conservative members. No, my opinion hasn't changed. Not one bit. In fact, when it was the other way around, I was still saying and will continue to say that the Supreme Court should not have a lifetime appointment. And everybody's like, well, it'll make it more political. And it's just the opposite, in my personal opinion. It's just the opposite. They know that they're there for a brief period of time. They know right and wrong, and they can split. They can leave. They can do all of those things. And in many cases, people have served way too long on the court. And many times it was because the right administration wasn't in for them to get the replacement that they wanted on the Supreme Court. This Supreme Court, if you want to get into the political side of this Supreme Court is going to decide and reverse many, many things in this country. Some of you are happy with that. A lot of us aren't happy with that. Doesn't change the fact that this Supreme Court is going to change basically what America is going to look like going into the future. Okay? Now, that being said, I look at people like the members of the Supreme Court, and I look at them based upon, okay, are they good, decent people? Are they upholding to the right, what they put their right hand up to God and said they were going to do, right? The one person that I always look at on the Supreme Court and have little to no respect for is Clarence Thomas. I think that he was a bad pick in the beginning. I think that he's a bad pick still now. I think that Clarence Thomas has proven that when it comes to any sort of ruling to the letter of law, that his political philosophy and ideology is going to overrule whatever that ruling might be, thus making it not a third branch of government, but a part of a second branch of government. So when I heard and when word got to me that his wife, Ginny Thomas, was at the January 6th rally leading up to the insurrection, it didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me. What I went back to, though, and when I was reading all those articles this morning and that got my attention is there was an argument in front of the Supreme Court. And when I say argument, a debate in front of the Supreme Court about whether or not the Trump administration had to turn over the documents that would show what role they might have played in the January 6th insurrection. And they were saying, no, you don't get to see what our conversations were. You don't get to see what we might have organized when it comes to all of this. You don't get to see the conversations that happened between us and Mr. My Pillow, for example. You don't get to see how we might have orchestrated and paid for the buses that came into Fargo here. And what role we played with the local media here so that one of those longstanding members of the local media here is lying into a microphone and a camera live from inside the Capitol as the guest of Kevin Kramer. I mean, that's stuff doesn't get made public unless you actually can do the work. And there was only one vote. Only one dissenting vote when it came to the ruling of no, you have to turn in and you have to provide those documents. There was only one person on that Supreme Court that said, no, they don't. Nope, they don't have to. They can keep that completely hidden. They don't have to adhere to the rule of law. They don't have to do what any citizen would do, which is, okay, yeah, here's the papers. Find out if there's something wrong. I don't believe we did anything wrong. We have nothing to hide. Here's the papers. Well, in this particular case, they fought it tooth and nail. And there was only one Supreme Court justice that said, nope, you don't get to see it. And that was Clarence Thomas. That was Clarence Thomas. Now, understand this. There's an oath that federal judges take. And it's not just about impropriety. It's about the appearance of impropriety. Those are two different things. Those are the type of things that you say, okay, well, I did something wrong. I can't do something wrong. I give you my word. I can't do something illegal. Can't do anything. I can't be bought off for this ruling. I can't be coerced into it. But the other part, so that we can respect the judiciary, so that we go in there and treat them with the respect that they need to be able to do their job, is to make sure that the appearance of impropriety isn't there. Well, is it? Now, here's the thing about the Supreme Court I want you to keep in mind. They don't take that same oath. They don't take it. The federal judge, the judge, for example, that's about to be on the Supreme Court, she had to put her right hand up to God and adhere to that oath. If you're a lawyer, you've got to put your right hand up to God. You've got to adhere to that oath. But the Supreme Court makes sure that they don't have to. Now, a ruling comes, or a request for a ruling comes before the Supreme Court over whether or not an administration can hide their involvement or their role in an insurrection against our government. And that ruling, that event is attended by one of the Supreme Court justices' wife, and he still rules on that case. Now, that is an appearance of impropriety, if not impropriety itself. What did he know that others didn't? What does he know because of his wife that others don't? What does he know in regards to who contacted her behind the scenes and said, boy, it sure would help if you'd get here to this rally? What did his wife say to him in regards to the rally itself and why she was going to the rally, what she felt about the election, what she felt about the administration? What role did his wife play in making sure that he ruled, even though he was only one, even though he lost, that he showed himself to be exactly what he is, which is an unethical member of the Supreme Court? What did she say to him? What happens? Now, you can say, well, you don't know what she said. I don't know what she said. And you don't know what she said. But what I do know is there's an appearance of impropriety. I do know that if my wife was at the rally where people were encouraged to take action upon the Capitol, if my wife was at that rally, I would have looked at all the other members of the Supreme Court and said, do you feel that I should recuse myself from this? Or I probably would have recused myself, period. In my time, in my 14 years serving in the North Dakota legislature, we had an oath that we took to. And it was exactly about what I'm talking about. We couldn't vote on legislation that would better our lives in terms of finance. We couldn't sit there and push for legislation based upon, boy, I can make money doing this. Now, has that been broken? In recent years, terribly. It's been broken. In recent years, words can't describe how unethical the legislature has become versus what it was before. And I'm going to give you an example, ladies and gentlemen. I was new to the Senate, and I came in at the same time that another young man came in. I think we're close to the same age. I might be a year older. I don't know. But Randy Chrisman, very, very conservative member of the Senate, was elected from Hazen, North Dakota, up in that district. And he came in, and Randy and I served for the first two sessions on exactly the same committees, on finance and tax and on natural resources. And I came to have a lot of respect for Randy Chrisman. I didn't vote the way he voted, but a handshake was as solid as Sears. Randy Chrisman was the type of individual that would share with you his thoughts, and he would share with you when he disagreed. There was no backstabbing. And he currently serves on North Dakota's Public Service Commission. And we can disagree there on issues, whatnot, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to continue the respect I have for the man. So know this. Know that when Randy Chrisman stood up and recused himself on the floor of the Senate, and it was the first time I ever saw it, and I don't even remember the issue that he recused himself for. I just know the respect I had when he stood and basically made the argument that I don't belong voting on this because. And then a motion was made, and I think it was from the minority party, which I was in, saying, nope, you go ahead and vote. And both parties knew Randy and said, vote. And then, of course, he voted. But people knew. People knew. Now, should the American public have known that Jenny Thomas was at that meeting leading up to the insurrection? Did they deserve to know before Clarence Thomas tried to hide the documents? And ladies and gentlemen, that is why I believe that there needs to be term limits on the Supreme Court. I think that the American people don't know half of what goes on. They've got a close eye on the executive branch. They've got a close eye on the legislative branch. And when it comes to the Supreme Court, they get a pass. And Clarence Thomas is the perfect example of that. Let's get to the Weather Cave and visit with Don Haney and get our forecast. Don?
Thanks so much, Joel. Today, across North Dakota, highs are reaching above freezing at all areas, ranging.
1-800-880-5346. I get to hang out with her tomorrow. That's our Farm and Ranch Director, Sarah Heinrich. And I'm going to find out right now, though, what's going on in the market. Sarah?
Right now, we've got a mixed board trend in the grain markets as we are seeing May corn up 1/4 cent at $7.48, December at $6.47, down a nickel and a half. May soybeans down 14 1/4 at $16.56. New crop November at $14.69, down 11.5 cents. Wheat making some gains. May wheat up 16 3/4 at $10.89. September is at $10.48, up 19 3/4. In the cattle market, we have now moved into a downward trend with April feeder cattle 40 cents lower at 162 even. April live cattle 20 cents lower at 140.13. And for April lean hogs, we're at 102 even. That's 20 cents lower. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich for the News and Views Radio Network from the Enterprise Sales Ag Studio. Enterprise Sales of Valley City, your grain handling and storage experts.
Thank you, Sarah. As I said, tomorrow we're going to be broadcasting live from the Northwest Landowners Association, so get a little flavor of what's happening up in the oil patch as well. Jim, as soon as I hit the right button here, Jim, you're on News and Views. Go ahead.
Hello, Joel.
Yeah.
See, it isn't just the January 6th case that he should have recused himself. I don't know if you know about the one little tidbit that I always think of when I think of Clarence Thomas. In the first 10 years on the bench, he never asked one question. He never said one word of any of the parties before him. Not one question of anyone.
Yeah, I think it went even longer than 10 years, didn't it, Jim?
10.5 years.
Yeah. The man, it's fairly well proven through his writings, his opinions. I don't think he has the respect of the conservatives on the court. You know, he's that person. He's the person that everybody just rolls their eyes and says, "Man, and there's senators like that. There's congresswomen like that, and congressmen like that. You know, you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, but at least they're up for election.
Yeah.
We've got to live with Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, but can you imagine being before the Supreme Court and you're just dying for somebody to ask you the right questions to try and make your case, and this guy never says a word for 10.5 years?
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this, Jim. Should he have at the very least admitted that his wife was at the rally?
Yes, and probably because she's also one of the main leaders of some right-wing group that I can't remember the name of. But she's also in a right-wing organization where she's one of the leaders.
Right, and she is a lobbyist. I mean, that's what she does, and so
that alone should,
right. I mean, that alone. That's
that
the
alone,
right way to put
that
it.
alone. Even forget January 6th. That alone.
Yep, exactly. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate your call. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're heading up to Keys 660 country. We're going to get a chance to talk to Amy Kruger, or Keys 660 neck of the woods. How's that? To one of the great radio stations, heritage radio stations in this country. Going to get a chance to visit with Amy Kruger. She is the executive director of the Williston Convention and Visitors Bureau. Now, Amy was the one that didn't let the caviar business slide. I always think of that. There used to be a company. Well, she can tell you the story. The story it's a great story, but every now and then somebody steps up, or their staff does, or the people with them do, and say, we can do this. We can do it. Imagine how valuable the caviar is going to be this year when there is going to be no Russian caviar. Stick around. What are you doing? You're just spoiling me with my Glenn Campbell today. It's just.
Well, you're going to be gone tomorrow.
I am.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I can't hear Glenn Campbell through my headset live from Bismarck.
I'll think you dropped, but you actually are just still listening to the song.
Still jamming to Glenn. I might be the only one in the building and in the area that still loves Glenn Campbell. Highly underrated.
He's
as
up
a
on your
songwriter, or I shouldn't say a songwriter, as a performer and as a musician. You ever see him play? He could play anything. You've
had me watch YouTube videos of him.
And it didn't do anything for you, did it?
He's very good.
He's very talented.
He's really very talented.
I want to get to Williston. Amy Kruger is someone who didn't let something die. And in this case, that's a very, very good thing. She's the executive director of the Williston Convention and Visitors Bureau. Amy, good to have you back on News and Views. Thanks for saying yes.
Good morning. Absolutely.
I want my tin of caviar. That's what I want.
Okay. We'll get you on.
I want to go backwards before we go forwards. Describe to people about what used to happen in the Williston Basin when it came to the harvesting from the paddlefish, if you would. Describe what it was before and where you have it now.
Okay, absolutely. So when you go out and you snag your fish, North Star Caviar is a joint venture agreement between us and the Friends of the Fort. And so what happens is you bring your fish in, we process that fish in exchange for the donation of Murrow. You get your fish cleaned for you and processed for you, and you don't have to butcher that huge fish that you just snagged, right? And so that still happens. What had happened before was a joint venture agreement with the Williston Chamber of Commerce. They decided that wasn't a good fit for them anymore. And in 2017, they decided it wasn't a good fit, and we didn't end up having a harvest season. There was a harvest season, but caviar was not processed that year. Game and Fish stepped in. They still got your fish cleaned for you, but there just wasn't the capture of the caviar that year. We felt as a CVB that season is very important to Williston. It brings a lot of fishermen into town. Out of the confluence, it basically turns into a town of itself with all the people lined up along the shore catching it. So if we're not offering this service, what happens to those carcasses of those fish, right? They probably would be littering the shores, and we don't want that. We want to save this resource and utilize this resource. And so years ago, they started North Star Caviar. As I said, it started with the Chamber and the Friends Group. When it was no longer a good fit for the Chamber, we stepped in and said it's still an important thing for Williston, and that's when we stepped in.
See, and I don't blame the Chamber at all. I think exactly. I think that it's a perfect fit for you because it's all about people coming to town and forming that city all in of themselves, and then using that to promote. A lot of people that are listening, Amy, don't understand how it works. You talked about butchering the paddlefish, so that you can go home with the meat. You can harvest that there. But explain to them how much caviar you get, how much, caviar, fish eggs. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Explain to them physically what happens.
So when you bring that fish in, and that fish can be anywhere from a 40-pound small male to a 120-pound female, right? They're large fish, and so they're a little bit difficult to handle at times. And so you bring it in, and it first goes through the cleaning room, and that's when you will get your fillets back. If you want to save the bill, you can ask them to save the bill. You will get all of that back. Then the eggs of the fish, the roe, get taken out of the fish, and they go into what we call our clean room, okay? And we process that roe and make it into caviar. We clean it, we salt it, and then we package it. From there, this is all inspected by Game and Fish. It's all inspected by FDA. It's all inspected by the State Health Department. So we have to follow certain protocol along the route. It's all weighed and calculated, and then we actually have to work with the wardens, and we do a transport license and transport it. It then gets frozen. then we sell it on the worldwide market.
So as far as packaging goes, who does that?
Right there in the room. So it gets cleaned, it gets processed, and then it gets packaged right there, and then it goes into the freezers.
Okay. The reason that I called you, obviously it's right around the corner when this season's going to happen, but the market is going to be better. I mean, one of the competitors out there is Russian caviar. And and we all know that the quality here in North Dakota is as good as anywhere. That's been proven by the people, the connoisseurs of caviar. They love North Dakota caviar, but you're still competing for that end user.
Correct.
Nobody's going to be shipping in Russian caviar this year, Amy.
Right. So, and anytime you change that supply chain, you're going to change that demand chain and increase that demand. If you have a decrease in supply or an increase in supply, it'll change that chain of demand. The supply and demand go hand in hand, as we all know. Or should. They can definitely get off balance. But so we are hopeful that will help us move our caviar. We were successful in 2021 season of moving that with the cruise ships coming back onto the market this last year, but that definitely impacts us too when those industries shut down. That changes the demand side of things, right? So this will change the supply side of things, and hopefully that demand will still be there and will be in good shape for this season of selling that caviar on that world market.
So the caviar that you're going to harvest this year has not already been sold?
Correct. This year's harvest has not already been sold.
Okay, which really means that, I'm not saying gouge, but if the profit that you might be able to make on a year like this can sustain a process where, you might not be able to normally make a profit. Thus, you don't end up with a bunch of paddlefish dead on the side of the river.
Correct.
Interesting. Really interesting. So,
so it's all, that supply and demand chain very much affects us, just as when COVID shut down the cruise ships, that affected our sales. This will hopefully help our sales because we'll have one less competitor in the market. What makes our caviar special, as you referred to, is that cold water, and it is free range. It's not farmed. And so it's wild caught, it's snagged. And that cold water preserves those eggs. We have our season pretty much right after the ice goes off. So that water's still very cold, and it keeps those eggs fresh and good. And that's what, in my opinion, makes us better than the Oklahoma or Kentucky market even.
Well, how do you compare for volume? How fast do you run out of product?
It all depends on the year. We've had some years that have carried over. We've had some that sold right away, and we've sold the whole market right away. So it all depends on that demand chain. We pretty much always get around 2,000 pounds of caviar processed. Okay.
I would guess that you're going to know because there's so many permits that are issued from Game and Fish. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets one. They know what the success rate is of people that, those are all just numbers that you can almost count on year to year with maybe a percentage or two off. But I just think that there's a real opportunity here, Amy. And all right, before
what influences that a little bit, Joel, is the male class. And so if we have a heavy male class, that will reduce that female count, so that'll reduce your female eggs that year. In the next couple of years, we are going to have a heavier male class, but you never really know that until the fish are caught on how many females are caught or how many males are caught.
So what you just said is the males are not as bright as the females.
Yep, I did.
I take exception to that. But okay, Amy, before I let you go, I want to make sure, with all of this listening audience, what you have going on this summer, this spring and summer. This is your free plug time, Amy.
Okay. Well, I want to plug one other thing with North Star caviar and paddlefish season, and that is to make sure there is a fishing rule change this year. So please make sure that you get your tags. You need to register online for those tags, and the tag has to be mailed to you. So if you're planning on coming out, make sure that you register for your tag right away. April 1st is a new fishing season for Game and Fish. Get those tags registered. Make sure you have time to receive those in the mail before coming out to Williston. We want you here. We want you to have a tag and do it properly. And so that was a rule change by Game and Fish this year, is that will be mailed. You can't run into Scenic or Sportsman's Warehouse or any of the local retailers and get your tag in hand there. It has to be mailed to you.
And there's no lottery. You can go ahead and get after a paddlefish. You can just only have one, right?
Right. You just have the one tag. So you have to have your license and your tag, and there is no lottery. You can get it. You just need to go online and do it.
And remember, one. Both Amy and I said this. So I want to make sure that you answer this. I know the answer, but I want to make sure you do. Somebody says North Star Caviar is going to pay me for my fish then this year?
No, we are not going to pay you for your fish. You donate your roe in exchange for us cleaning your fish.
Yes.
So we pay all the contractors. We do all of that. And you donate your fish, your roe, and you get your fish back, and we clean it for you.
See, and I don't think it's wrong that the male fish are brighter in the. Never mind. We can go down that road when we get together. Amy, always good to talk to you. Wait, before I let you go, what other events you got going on?
Sport and Rec Show is this weekend, so come out, hear the seminars, hear all the fishing pros. We will have a huge fish tank that they will be on top of fishing, showing us how those lures work and everything works. Lots of good campers, RV spas, everything else this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then in May, Band Day is coming up. We're excited to have the Kansas City Chiefs Drumline come, and they are our guest band, so that is exciting. And then all of our summer activities, be sure to get outside, enjoy those hunting, fishing opportunities that we have in our backyard. So,
okay.
Love to have you in Williston.
Somebody said, Joel, don't forget to ask her where the funds go from the sold caviar.
So the funds go right back into the community. A lot of them go to the forts, into that living history stuff. And then we do projects within the community with those funds. So they go right back into the community. In past years, we haven't had a lot of funds to do that. It pretty much has paid for the season. But any extra proceeds do go right back into the community.
All right. Go get them, Amy. I will see you in May. I'm coming up to visit in May, okay?
Awesome. We'll see you then.
You bet. Let's head to the weather cave and find that too tall, or not too tall.
How about Shorty?
I haven't made that mistake since Haney went on vacation. Or since Too Tall went on vacation.
There you go.
So, Don, what's going on in the
All
weather?
right. Thanks, Joel. We're looking at spring-like
Network. I'm trying to figure out who these people are. I just thank God I believe that they are the vast minority when it comes to that the GOP that this country needs. They are the ultra right. But I was seeing some news reports and some people quoted at a Trump rally about their opinions when it came to Vladimir Putin and when it came to President. Let's just focus on Putin. What has he done that has earned these people's support? What was it? What has he done that makes them respect him so much? I mean, innocent people. The other day, a pregnant woman was carried from a hospital. She's dead now. I mean, for you folks out there that are trying to justify your passion for Vladimir Putin, and albeit a small percentage of you, and hopefully it's getting less and less, what is it that you love about the guy? I'd like to know. You can text us at 35270, and I won't know who you are, and no one will know who you are, okay? So use that anonymity to tell me why. What is it about him that you love so much? because we were playing
No,
Catch
it
a
is.
Cookie. Chips Ahoy, baby.
We haven't
Chips
played
Ahoy.
it in a while.
We haven't. We've been doing way better, but
Well, and before you said, "Do you want to play Catch a Cookie?" And I said, "I don't have a choice in that."
She
Joel
doesn't.
just starts throwing
I
things
just
at
start
me.
whipping them at her. But I have to say,
That one broke back there.
out of all of my producers, which I've had tremendous, wonderful producers, I've enjoyed working with every one of them, except for the one that Jack Sunday hired that was here for a week and I fired. I remember, I won't say his name because, Jack hired him, and Jack's got this big heart. Apparently,
You called me before and after that.
Did I? I thought, no, that was a long time before you were around.
Oh, I'm
A
thinking
long
of someone
time.
else.
Yeah. He never got fired. He pulled the pin, so, and he was doing, but anyhow, there was a guy when I came back from the legislature that he wasn't built for the job. He really wasn't. It turns out later on he had some personal problems, which I kind of had a pulse on. But I remember Jack Sunday, my boss at the time, and a great guy. I remember looking at Jack and say, "Yeah, I let him go." He goes, "You don't have the authority to do that." I said, "Then you better talk to him because I let him go." But all of you were absolutely fine at catching. Amy Ida wasn't good. I always, when we'd play Catch a Cookie with her, I worried about her eyes.
Yeah.
She could have took one in the eyes and she wouldn't know it, But you're the best. Callie, right now, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but Abby's a better catcher.
Thank you.
Callie would be second, Megan third, Amy
Down there.
fourth.
Yeah.
Fourth. I mean, she'd scream and she'd yell, "Stop it." That's a sign. All right.
It's all about the multitasking.
It is. It's about work each and every day, the work that you have to do. So, in terms of Ukraine and what our role is going to be in Ukraine, what scenario can you see where the American people will say, "We're in. Look, this is enough. This is all in enough." I personally believe that if we were assured tomorrow that China would completely stay out of it or was so repulsed by it that economically they knew that this was going to hinder them for years, if NATO knew that we'd be in it by now, knowing that chemical weaponry could be used by the Russians. They're justifying it the same way they always have. And there's Americans that are advocating and helping message that, talking about how Ukraine has developed chemical weapons with us. Any person that's doing that, is it Tulsi? I mean, is that how you pronounce her first name?
Tulsi.
Yeah.
Gabbard.
Yeah. She was a congresswoman, a member of the military. She ran for president of the United States. She didn't like the Democratic Party because she thought it was too liberal for her. She became this ultra-right candidate because that seemed to be where her home was. And now she's running around talking about how we've developed chemical weapons and we're going to use them in this war and how we need to get rid of them before anything happens with them. The woman's I'm not afraid to use the word traitor. I'm not. She certainly is out there, giving the Russians the narrative that they desire and the belief that they want. Now, there's another group here that you need to keep in mind. Russian television is owned by Russia. It's owned by Vladimir Putin. And I'm not trying to hide the fact that the man who gave me a start in radio, Ed Schultz, and who was my friend before he passed away, that Ed Schultz worked for Russian TV. I don't forget that. I get it before you all start calling me a hypocrite. I understand it. But I don't think that Ed Schultz would have kept working for Russian TV if he had to spread this, to go out and lie and put this crap out there. Or at least I like to think that the Ed that I knew wouldn't have done that he wouldn't have allowed that to happen. Then he would have either quit or they would have fired him because he would have told him to shove it. I know that, or at least I believe that. So when you look at the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Gabberts of the world. It's it's a perfect example of what is going on in our country. I mean, can you imagine a former congresswoman and a current congresswoman running around supporting Adolf Hitler? I mean, supporting Adolf Hitler over their own government. Could you imagine that? I mean, that's what we're seeing in some of these rallies. And just go out and do the Google on some of these rallies and look at what some of this ultra-right supporters of the former president are out there saying, that the cause of all this and that the deep state is what's doing this, and that Putin is taking on the deep state. And that's a reason that they believe that Putin's being lied about by the deep state. Where do these people live? What do they do? Do they get up in the morning and look out the window and believe that government's up in their trees keeping track of them? I mean, where do these people live? If you want to talk about government keeping track of someone, not allowing individuals freedom, locking up protesters, then look at your hero, Vladimir Putin. Just take a step back and look at him, because that is where the problem lies. Jack, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Jack.
I have two things related to the Ukraine there. Number one, they say that the scammers are collecting money for the Ukraine and not taking it over there. Well, my solution is, if you find that individual or group, you take them over to the Ukraine, give them a rifle, and they're in there.
Yeah.
Number two, you're familiar with history. How about the flying tigers over China? The thing over the Ukraine, they want a no-fly zone. Why don't they come here and recruit some pilots that get out of the Air Force and Navy and put some F-16s over when the MiGs come over?
Didn't you think, Jack, that the move with the planes with Poland was used in a couple of different ways, obviously for the defense of Ukraine, but also as an enticement to have Russia, punch us in the nose, and then next thing you know is like, all right, you punched.
It's a trap. Yeah.
Exactly.
If they would come over West Germany, they hit those MiGs, they'd meet some F-15s and 16s in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like, look, I've believed this, and I just got done talking about conspiracy theorists, but here's my conspiracy theory, Jack, that when it comes to NATO is going to find a reason to get involved in this.
I believe so. They're just waiting for the right opportunity and right time, and bang, it'll be on.
Yep, I agree. And the one thing that they will know when it happens is that they're only fighting Russia.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
What Russia has proved is that they're not ready to fight NATO. They're not. Sean, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Sean. Okay, hold on. Abby's giving me the look like, hey, I don't have them on hold yet. I believe this. I believe that people who want to sit out there and spin and lie and spin and lie are individuals that you really have to take a look at and say, why? What are you doing? What's your motivation? Why would you spread misinformation? Russian TV is running over and over again Tucker Carlson from Fox News. They're utilizing Tucker Carlson from Fox News. Why? I mean, what? Why would? Because it's what they want Russian people to believe that we behind the scenes believe. That's why they're doing it. Sean, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, Joel. Hey, I guess I find it kind of upsetting that you compare a former congresswoman to a Hitler supporter when I feel like all she did was make people aware that, hey, there's these 26 labs overseas. We're kind of losing the initiative over there. Maybe we should destroy all of the stuff that's in these labs before we totally lose control over there, if that's the direction that this ends up going.
Okay. I think that's a pretty abhorrent thing to say. Okay, it's abhorring. Let me explain why, and then you tell me if it's still abhorrent. You've got a situation where Russia is looking for an excuse to use chemical weaponry, right? You've got a situation where Ukraine is saying, we don't have it. And so tomorrow, if it's used, you've just given them the cover that they need to do that. No different than when Hitler invaded Poland or Czechoslovakia or all of these countries and said that he's just liberating them. That's exactly what, if you push that narrative, what you're doing. You're supporting it. And so let's say that for debate's sake, even for debate's sake, she believes that that's true. What's the gain in it, Sean?
The gain in it is that you can at least eliminate the threat of the chemicals that are in these labs so that we don't end up going through like something that we just went through for the past 2 years. Like, is our memory this short? Like, let's just forget about posturing and the politics. Let's just try to eliminate like that clear and obvious threat is how I feel.
Okay. So do you see at all my scenario where the Russians use that as an excuse to use it first?
I do, but even if that wasn't there, they'll just make up something else. So like if we can eliminate one threat at a time, like I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
Yeah. All right, Sean, thanks for calling in. Thanks for the conversation. Let's get to Don in our weather cave, and Don Haney will let you know what's going on in the weather. 5, 3, 4, 6. That is our news and views studio line. Let's get to. Hold on a second. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons today. Let's get to Jay. Jay, you're on news and views. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, well, these right-wing nutcase extremists who think well of Putin, they live in their own world of amusement under a rock. They're brainwashed. They drank the Kool-Aid. Herb and the QAnon crowd comes to mind, and I'll let you go at that.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Want to get to some of these text messages. I think Jay made his point on his opinion on that. Want to get to some of these text messages. Joel, maybe Trump fans appreciate Pump's oligarch wallets loaning the Donald money to buy and renovate Mar-a-Lago. Another one, Joel, he was Trump's only friend. Another one, Joel was at a 15-minute paid advertisement for caviar. It was the story of a business keeping up in Russia, or I should say in Williston, because of Russia. There was a tie there, and I don't think it was an advertisement at all. Joel, it's not that they love Putin. The only reason they side with Putin is because they are the Trump cult that'll do anything and everything their cult leader tells them. Joel, just a heads up that Amy has an app on her phone that she uses to find out who is texting in when someone texts into your text club. It's not anonymous. All right, Abby?
It's anonymous.
How many years have we've been working together over a year now, right? Have we ever once, and I will swear on a stack of Bibles, before all this, I have never looked up a text number if there's a way of doing it.
We haven't. We started to recognize numbers that come in if they're frequent texters, but we don't know who they are.
Well, there's a number that calls in that wants to shoot my dog. He doesn't like me very much.
We also don't know the numbers that call in.
Yeah, I don't know
People
whose
think that too.
Number is. I just recognize the same phone number texting me that is angry, incredibly angry. Joel, what a joke the other day. You had Shaw and Amit fill in for you. These two liberal idiots talked about how great Biden was handling the Russian-Ukraine situation. Someone asked them what NAFTA has done to help Ukraine, and they had no answers. I'll tell you what they did, and I'm sure these two did as well, as intelligent as those two men are. They put the sanctions on that has the oligarchs and has the Russian people now sitting there questioning whether or not Vladimir Putin is or should be their true leader. So that takes time. That takes time. If you're talking about the only other option that you have is to go to war, Joe Biden brought NATO back together. He brought our reputation in NATO had been thrown out the window. We were not seen by the countries that we were involved with as in any way, shape, or form as the leaders of the free world anymore. They couldn't trust us. They didn't want us. And Joe Biden pulled that coalition together, made them give up things that they didn't want to give up. Like if you're in Germany, for example, you've lost your fuel source, but you were willing to sacrifice that. So I do give Biden a lot of credit for what he did with NATO. Somebody said, didn't people in Southwest North Dakota support Adolf Hitler? I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. I do know this. There are a lot of people out there that hate Jews. I'm not one of them. I believe in the freedom of religion. I have many friends that are Jewish, and I respect them immensely, and I'm proud they're my friend. All right, good riding with you, folks. I'll be in Bismarck tomorrow.